if you come from a people who have been so hated.
Love can become subversive and transformative, beginning by loving yourself.
Hold your history books to the light, check the facts. How we invented language to teach wisdom and medicine to heal ourselves.
We were, we are, and we will be.
We redefine fashion, this heritage, this heartbeat. This is who I am.
Molweni, igama lam ngolithemba Nziweni. Thank you so much for engaging with our previous episode last week. On today's episode, we have Masonwabe Ntloko. How do I introduce Masonwabe? So Masonwabe is an indirect mentor of mine, although he will disagree with me, but he's someone who I've watched on social media for the past couple of years and followed him for the first time, I think in 2020 or 2021. And I've really, over the past years of just indirectly and objectively just watching him pursue his dream and pursue his art, it becoming a business and everything that he's been able to achieve as a creative who also hails from the Eastern Cape where I'm from, I was really inspired by his journey. And when I started taking my creativity and my art more seriously, he's someone I leaned on when it comes to advice and guidance, when it comes to how I approach my own artistic, how he approaches his work. So over the years, we would engage, and he's someone I would bounce off ideas from, get guidance from, get a lot of advice from. And I remember when I had my screening of my film that was selected at the ARIF, which was what does ARIF stand for? Africa Rising International Film Festival. And I asked him to come, and that was the first time I met him in person. And since then, we've cultivated quite a good relationship between me and him. He's someone who I now look to as a big brother of mine, and he's someone who he treats me like his little brother. But he's someone whose work I really, really respect. So when I had the idea of doing the heritage creative workshops, he's someone who was a no-brainer in terms of who I was trying to invite and who was going to come and impart a certain type of knowledge within the Makanda community. He's someone who, like I said, I've looked up to a lot. So I reached out to him when I was going to be putting together these workshops, myself and the rest of the heritage team, which was Christofina Luchwaito, Zimkita Nomevuyo. So we reached out to him and asked him to come through to share some of his industry expertise and professional expertise and artistic expertise. And we had a segment that we had specifically carved for him to facilitate, which was growing as a creative. And basically what we wanted to know was creative ecosystem. So he came through, gave a talk, gave a presentation. And what I really enjoyed about his presentation was how real it was and how relatable it was, because it was from someone who came from where we came from and someone who spoke our own language as well, and someone who essentially represented us and where we wanted to go, and represented how we wanted our professional careers to look like, somewhat, more or less. So yeah, I really enjoyed Masonwabe's talk, and I hope you guys enjoy it too. And yeah, let's get into it.
If you come from a people who have been so hated.
Love can become subversive and transformative, beginning by loving yourself.
Hold your history books to the light, check the facts. How we invented language to teach wisdom and medicine.
Igama Masonwabe Ntloko. I would consider myself a visual artist and designer. I grew up in the Eastern Cape in a very, very small village at Twaksengwane. Went to school at Duitwa, then went to varsity in PE at NMMU. So I don't know if you guys want me to give you a short breakdown of who I am, what I do, and how I do it, or should we just do the thing? Breakdown. Okay. I think most of the times when things like this are done, usually people come in and kind of present based on where they are, not how you can move from where you are to where they because I'm going to make an example. I've gone to like a lot of like talks, especially like in the beginning of my career. And I never felt like these guys were having a conversation that I can understand as someone who's I think I only left the Eastern Cape after like I finished my third year. So like I didn't have an understanding of how the world worked outside of like the Eastern Cape, you know. So most of the times when these guys would come, they would always tell you about these things that you don't really understand, right? So what I'm going to try do is I'm going to try build this thing up from a where I think and guess you are to where I guess I am. But here's the thing. Times are different, you know. So it's like it's harder now to I feel can I curse? I just need to know. You guys are fucked. Let me tell you why I say that. Because the barrier of entry now is the highest it's ever been. Like, think about it like this. At some point when you blew up as a DJ based on only your mix. It was, you send a mix, you're so good, you're going to go on radio and you pop, right? Now you have to dance, you have to stand on the turntable, you have to do so many things in order for you to just blow up. It's the same thing in the creative industry, where it's like, there was a point where Instagram was very effective. Like you could DM someone and they would respond to you today. Now it's like everyone, like someone who's kind of made it gets like 6, 7, 8 to 10 to even 20 DMs from a kid who's like, hey, I'm trying to do this thing and. So I feel like the barrier of entry now is harder. So I'll only speak from my perspective and what I experienced, not necessarily what I feel like works now, because I'm not you now. I'll tell you about when I was where you are. How long ago was it? I'm really old, by the way. So I'll kind of like, you know, I titled this a conversation about a lot and nothing, because like, you know, I want to do it as casual as we can, like for us to just kind of like have a conversation. I didn't really have an art background. I was through and through a science kid. Like, I did maths, physics, life science, geo. Those are like my majors. I didn't do art in varsity. I just always knew I could draw. But what's actually going to show that is this is the best way to kind of like tell you about who I am. So like I said, grew up at Dutya and Nasengwane. What I feel like changed my life are those three things: Dragon Ball Z, Kanye West graduation, and Super Strikers. How I started drawing was, I think it's probably like grade 2, grade 3. I started seeing people draw these weird things with pointy hair. I didn't know what Dragon Ball Z was. I didn't watch TV when I was younger. Also, I grew up in an era where the area was outside. So if the wind hits, it's tough. Or if it's raining, like, and then one of you is outside, the one is inside watching the TV, trying to make sure that it gets the proper network. And then the other person on the other side wants to jika, to your left. No, to my right. So that's what I grew up on, you know? So I didn't really have like interest in TV at that time, because it's like, if my mom is not around, she's not going to turn the thing. And usually she comes back at work from like around 5. So that means it wasn't things that I used to watch. So I started seeing these kids just draw like these weird pointy head things. I'm thinking this is probably like grade 3. Yeah, grade 3, grade 2, grade 3. I don't know at this time that I can draw. So I'm like, oh, let me also try these things out. I try it out, but I'm looking at someone else's artwork and I'm like referencing that, and that's what I'm doing. Then people are like, oh my God, you're so good. And in my head, I'm like, oh, okay, like, I guess. And then now they start having like the pictures. Then metal tassels came in, silver tassels. Before those, there was this thing where you could build like a box. It was, let's say it was Goku. Then at the back, it had like a 4-star Dragon Ball thing. You could build like a box with them. This is before the metal, silver, and click tassels. Because click tassels were green, right? So the guys start having those things. So now I'm using that as a point of reference. Eventually, I start watching it on TV. That's why I have a Goku tattoo, by the way. So I start drawing, and I think, obviously, like I said, I'm from Eslalin, Nasetujo. I was the first person, as far as I know, I was the first person in my hometown to go study art, as far as I know. And I didn't even know what I knew that it was art. Sorry, I had flu, so I knew that it was art because the teacher had told me that, oh, you're an artist. So whenever people would ask me, what do you want to be? I'm like, I want to be an artist. I didn't really understand what it was. Then you kind of like grow up. Then I think 2007, one of my cousins forgets his burnt CD at home, and it has Kanye West's Graduation. That album then changed my life. Hence the graduation tattoo. So those are the two things that I feel like were what made me who I am today. And then a bit later on, Sunday Times had comic books called Super Strikers. And my dad used to read Sunday Times every Sunday. So I would take these things. So I started reading these things. And then I started finding out that the guy who actually made these things was from the Eastern Cape. And Ngowasetu. So that also was like, oh, okay, there's someone that I can kind of like reference in this thing. Also, it's like, these are like South African, like sheikhs. That's a South African guy. Even how Sheikh speaks now that it's animated. But when I used to collect, I regret that I threw them away now. But like when I used to collect, we used to collect like, I had like a stack. Like right now I still collect comic books. But now it's like I'm more into DC more than I am into like Marvel stuff. But like I have like a shitload of comic books. And it kind of started there. Where it was like, okay, I also have cassettes. I don't know why, because I don't even have a cassette player. But that's basically who I am and how this journey started. Then you fast forward high school. I'm still convinced I want to be an artist. I take a leap of faith. I apply. I get in. I go. When I get there, the only thing I could do on a computer. So I did grade 12 in 2013, right? I told you I was old. I did grade 12 in 2013. So 2014 is my first year. When I get to my first year, there's kids who have art backgrounds. Like, I didn't know people could do art in high school. These kids know Photoshop. The only thing I knew about Photoshop was that when you edit a picture, you Photoshopped it. Because I know if Photoshop you away. So that was my understanding of what Photoshop is. It was like, oh, okay, anything that's edited, if you add your name, it's Photoshop. I get to varsity, there's Photoshop, there's Illustrator, there's all of these things. Where I'm from, the things that mattered were not like, there was always one guy on a compute, but we were only there to play GTA. That's it. Or race. I forgot what, I think it was called Gran Turismo or something. Those are the only two things we cared about on a computer. But the only thing I could do when I walked into varsity was, because we had computers at school, but they stole them like in a week. The only thing I could do was go to accessories, I think. Then you do Word. Then you get to Word. Then you type ASD. And then as we're learning that, they stole the computers. So I never got like access to a computer properly after that, outside of like Umjidaseka, who has a laptop, who has a computer, and you get there to just go play a game. So you kind of only know that you use the up key, down key, left key, right key, and like a space bar. That's the only thing you kind of know. Because Naya, he didn't even have a joystick. You played it with like the keyboard. So that's like the minimal exposure I had with like technology. I didn't even know what YouTube was. I only found out about it, I'm going to say 2 weeks later when I'm already in varsity. And I'm seeing this guy. I think I'm like a young Luvui. Luvui's watching this thing. And he's watching a tutorial. And I'm asking, yo, what is this? He explains to me, this is YouTube. This is what it does. You can find anything you want. That blew my mind. So then my thing was, I also was very realistic about where I was. Because I understood that these kids in first year are doing revision, basically. So that's kind of like what my first year was. So because I understood where I was, also I didn't own a laptop. So what I used to do was I used to sleep at school, at the labs, like doing the work, because you can't afford to go back to res. So you just do the work, sleep, wake up in the morning, you leave. So that was like kind of like my reality getting into high school. We are at an era where people are so obsessed with like what makes you different, right? And you want that to translate to your work. So if you're an artist, you want to have the conversation of how do I make it my thing? So my thing is like, I gave you my background. Kuleles Lalini, and like, I was like a village town kid, right? I was always, like every Friday we went home, so I lived that life and then I lived this life. Now, obviously, when you get to varsity, you want to move more towards like the urban side because that's the cool thing. Like now, culture is cool. Like being Xhosa is so cool right now. When we were first year, everyone, this motherfucker, everyone was just cool, you know? Like we didn't care about like if you came in, like for us, it was shunned upon being like cultural, traditional, whatever. So you leaned more towards that. So at this time, I was heavily influenced by like hip hop. So a lot of my work had like graffiti. So I'd do like a graffiti thing in the background. Then the foreground is like a portrait. So I've always been obsessed with like drawing with pens, and pencil, whatnot. But like I've always been a pen person, even when I was like in high school. So that I just put it like at the back, and then I focused on pencil because that was tried out oil painting, failed. I still hate oil painting till today. Then, like, so usually what usually happens in like things like this is that you want to be different, and most of the times people want to look at this different thing from outside themselves, and usually it's in you. So for me, all I had to do was I had a conversation with my first year design lecturer, and he pulls me to the side. He's like, it was me. I had a friend called Jason, Nomchidosong Andy. He pulls us aside. He's like, yo, you have to understand. First of all, you guys are black. I don't know if you guys realize this. You are kicking too much with the white kids. You don't understand that they're fine. You're not. You can't live a life like if shit doesn't work out, your dad will just hire you somewhere else. If this thing doesn't work out for you as a black artist, you're going back home, you're Spanish spa, you're Spanish ShopRite. That's your reality, right? So he was like, yo, you guys need to also always understand this. And then the conversation we had was, he was like, yo, you need to learn to like gracefully exit the stage you are in right now in life. So when I say that, I mean, in your second year, you have to already have, or you have to be trying to figure out how are you leaving university? What's your plan leaving university? Because usually what happens is that life is a series of mistakes. Like, but sometimes you find out that the mistake you made 5 years ago, you're only paying for it now, right? So if you start just planning, like, and sometimes it will look like you're a bit too serious, you know. I think I was very uptight when I was like in varsity because I understood that, yo, it's by luck that I'm here. Like, I'm good, but I'm not good enough to a point where this is going to keep me here, right? And I started just learning these things. Like I said, I was watching YouTube a lot. So eventually I get to a point where like I have this crazy knowledge of everything. I remember when, this is before you could do it on a phone, when you could kind of like select an image and make it black and white, and then everything else is color. I remember when I did that, everyone lost their minds. And you know what, you keep just doing it, and then eventually you get to a point where it's like, okay, then you start having like conversations with like people. Again, my third year lecturer, his name was Mr. Pottery. He is Mr. Pottery. It's not like he's dead. And his thing was, what are you selling? Are you selling that you're doing cool things? What are you trying to sell? Who are you outside of the cool things? Who are you outside of the MF Doom albums? Who are you outside of, you know, all these things? Because at the end of the day, you have to create something that's true to you. And not everything has to be super cultural, traditional, whatnot. Like, everyone's different and unique, but you have to create something that's true to you, which is then the conversation of like, you can be good at what you do. But when you put it next to everyone else's thing, are you really that good? If the answer is no, then it means you just have to keep getting better. Unfortunately, sometimes that's all you can give. Like, not everyone is meant to be great. There's also that reality, you know? So then, where I'm then going with this is, how do you find your style? First of all, you find your voice. What's the one thing that you would never get tired of talking about? So say, for example, you love shoes, right? Shoes is your favorite topic. Like, you could out-argue me about which Jordan 1 is better, which collab is better, why is sneaker culture dying, what was the impact of Yeezy in sneaker culture, you know, like, maybe that's your thing. That then becomes what you are into. That's your voice. That's what you want to talk about. Because the thing is, when you start creating, I kid you not, you're going to be doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again. Every interview you go to, they're going to ask you the exact same questions. So how did you start doing this? Oh, how has culture inspired you? That's literally that's what you're going to. So you have to be so in love with this thing and so attached to it that you don't mind having this conversation every day. And you're meeting random people. There's other people who are going to start loving your work, which for me was crazy because I never thought about what I do outside of me. Like, I never looked at it and I went, people probably love this. I always say this to people. I do what I like. I have the privilege of people liking what I do. But like, I wake up and I decide, if I decide tomorrow I want to do a pair of underwear, that's what I'm doing. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But because I'm not attached to the outcome of the work, you have to be though. Like, don't learn this from me. You have to be attached to the outcome of your work, but don't take it to heart. Be also honest with where you are, right? So this is 2015, 2016. That's when I'm now involved, like putting is closer into like what I do. That's when I started, because I went to school for textile designing, by the way. So I didn't go to school for graphic designing or fine art. I went to school for textiles. So textiles, for those who don't know, is to break it down, what you do in textile designing is you print, so silk screen printing, digital printing, you knit, you crochet, you draw, you build furniture. But what it basically teaches you is application on surfaces. Like, how do you make that, for an example, right? Like, how do you print that? Do you print that directly on garment using sublimation printing? Which is why when you look at my work, there's so much range, because all of those things were like things that I did at school, right? So 2016, that's when I kind of get into like the more closer side of things. And it wasn't even hard for me, because it's like, this is what I grew up on. I just, at some point, didn't look at it as something that was cool, because I wanted to be with the cool people. And it happens when you're in university, when you get there and everyone, the only thing I never got into was like smoking and drinking. Like, I've always been the person who doesn't smoke, who doesn't drink. But like everything else that other people used to do, I used to be like, you know what, I also want to be part of this thing. So you kind of now not forget who you are, but like you're so focused on what all the other people are doing that's cool, that you kind of are just in that bubble. So I think going home that December kind of like shook me a bit, to a point where I was like, oh, okay, maybe let's kind of figure out what we're trying to do. What am I trying to do? What am I passionate about? Because I'm really passionate about going home. I'm really passionate about culture. And this is the things that I've researched outside of school. Like, I want to learn. I know different. My grandma is a herbalist, so I know Amaya is close. My grandfather was a person who used to do a lot of things with his hands. So I know the different types of trees, what this means, what this does in terms of like this was my reality, but like it wasn't what I wanted to acknowledge as my reality, because it was like, oh, I want the cool thing. I want to be able to, if Kanye West drops an album, I want to out debate you on that. That's what matters to me. Fashion was a big thing at some point. As you can see now, it's not. That was my reality. So when I did things, it was usually just because I just thought it made sense for me to do it at that time. You see? Then, like, I don't know where I was, I think 2018. Yeah. 2018, that's when now it starts becoming like, it kind of already started in 2016, the cultural thing, but like it didn't necessarily show in my work. But it was, now I'm walking around with like beads, you know. Everyone had that stage where you want to be like so hardcore closer that you want to show everybody that, yo, you know. I did that for a while. Then like 2017, I kind of calmed down. I think 2017, I'm in Joburg. I'm working for Ulatu. So that's kind of another part of this that I feel like a lot of people don't understand. That it wasn't necessarily mentorship. It was an internship, but I learned as much as I could when I was there. Because when I got there, I told him, I was like, yo, look, bro, I can do prints. I can do all of these things. I want to learn the things I don't want to learn. Because I'm going to tell you right now, right? It's no one's business to teach you business. You learn business out of the interest you have of your thing. So if you are trying to, I'm going to tell you right now, like a lot of creatives always feel like they don't want to do the business aspect of things. I think you are doing yourself a disservice. So for an example, every like manager you've ever seen, like an owner of a company, they will always tell you this, that I did everyone's job before I hired everyone here. So I used to answer the phones. I used to be the delivery guy. You get what I'm saying? And that's just the other side of business. And you'll figure these things out as you go, especially if you're open to learning and understanding that there's business in this thing. And it's literally probably like 85% business and 15% the art. That's the sad reality. Like, you don't blow up. That's what people use. Like you don't blow up based on how good you are. You blow up because of your business acumen. You blow up because you have the ability to kind of like plan how to do this and why you should do this. So now it means you now have to start like studying different types of people. So mentorship is not necessarily you calling me every day and asking me what to do. A lot of people that I would consider my mentors, I've never met. Like Virgil changed my life. He made me understand what visual language is and how you can build that. So when he did Off-White, when he did every collab, you understood it was Virgil. You knew he uses Helvetica, bold, in everything he does. So it's a free font. That's the crazy thing. It's like he did a whole global brand with a free font. He understood, he only writes like this. He had the quotation marks. He had, like, when I saw that, and then I'm a big music person. You see that in like Pharrell's production. It's like you can tell it's Pharrell's production. It's different. Every song is going to be kind of different. Obviously, it has the 4-beat thing. Bam, 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 bam. Then the song starts. But those things, another person who's kind of making a comeback now, DJ Mustard. Mustard also, every Mustard song from 2012 to 2016, 17, 18, literally sounds the exact same. Like if you removed the vocals, the tempo is literally just the same. Throughout Rack City, I'm going to forget the songs now, but like every Mustard hit sounded literally the same. And you knew exactly what it was going to say, Mustard on the beat. You knew that after 10 seconds, it's going to say Mustard on the beat. So those are things that I kind of started learning over like time. Yeah, well, I'm one of those people who were too talented, if that makes sense. I was a smart kid at school. Getting like level 7, I don't know if it's still level 7 now, was easy for me. The only time I started getting challenged was when I went to varsity. In high school, everything was a breeze. Physics was a breeze. Maths was a breeze. I just did it because I was like, I was told to. My parents told me to just go study this thing. But like for me, that was easy. I could play soccer. I could play rugby. Where I'm from, boxing was a big thing at some point. I used to box, and I was good at all of these things. But just because I can do it, and at some point I used to be part of a dance crew. But because you can do something, it doesn't mean you should do it. So I think the problem now with a lot of like younger people is that you guys don't have creative restraint. It's like you see it in fashion. It's like this person has 6 different outfits in one outfit. You could have just simplified this thing. The more you kind of like practice. Obviously, I'm saying all of this from a design perspective. Art, I'm touch and go. But the older you become, the more you start realizing when you work with a client, they'll always tell you that simplify this. Because what design is it's functional. If it's there for decorative purposes, you don't need it there. Like for an example, in the one with a blue background, there's a picture of my face in that print. There's a zigzag in that print. There's Thabo Mbeki. There's Desmond Tutu. There's too much happening. It's like I'm trying to tell you the story of my entire life in just one outfit, and that's not how it should work. So you need to start learning how to simplify things, and that perfect example is then what now is. So there on top is a collaboration I did with Rocking the Daisies 3 years ago. Yeah, 3 years ago, right? It had, ironically, it was about hair. Where's Mr. Hair? Success is not working with brands. That's not what success is. Success is building a sustainable thing that you can live. It can pay. For example, I'm a firstborn, so I have younger siblings. I helped take my siblings to school, right? I paid for school fees, for school fees. I paid for all of these things, right? When they don't have a laptop, sometimes I'd go sacrifice my laptop and go get a new one because I understood that these kids have to have a laptop. So that was my reality, you see. But I couldn't do that if my only thing that I depended on was brand money. Also, brand money is not that much. People think if you do, like, let's say, for example, for conversation's sake, not for conversation's sake, but this actually happened. I did a collab with Markham 4 years ago, right? At the time, it sounded like a lot of money. 200,000 rand sounds crazy, right? Like in your head, you're thinking, now we've made it. 200K. But you're not looking at the reality of where I am now, where 200K is enough for only 2 production lines and I have nothing. So for example, producing rugs, I'm going to make it. I don't know if you guys have seen the rugs that I make. Really beautiful. But the rugs that I make, production is 97,000 Rand. If I need 97,000 Rand to go into production, right? But I'm going to now look at it from your perspective. I don't know if I covered it, so don't worry. Actually, I'm going to, then, here's a visual language, right? This is, what I tried to do was kind of like break down my work. Like, in the easiest way possible for you to kind of like understand what my visual language is. And my visual language is illustration, drawing. So what I tried to do with my arts was I tried to build a style that could live well physically and digitally. Because I feel like that's usually the biggest problem that a lot of artists have, where it's like it doesn't translate well digitally. Because now you've made an artwork and you have to scan it. But it doesn't matter how many DPIs you scan it on, bro. It's just not going to fit. It's not going to be good. It's not going to look good on a billboard. You see, so my thing was, I'm already like good at like computer stuff at this point. So it's like, okay, if I'm going to create something, I need to look at it from what are my dreams? My dreams are not like everyone else's. There's things that I'm interested in that other people are not interested in. So for an example, for me, making rugs was the thing I've always wanted to do. I just was not going to tuft. Like, tufting is crazy business. Like, imagine sitting there and you're hitting it with a gun every day. That's your job. So for me, it was like, okay, I need something where even when I produce rugs, I'm going to produce them from designing it digitally, and then we sublimate it. So that's how my production works. So even with the knit is digitally created down there with the people wearing skirts. The knit is created digitally. So I illustrate that digitally. I have my Wacom in my bag somewhere. If you guys want to see what I use, I have it somewhere in my bag. But like, that's what you use. You just illustrate the artwork. After you illustrate the artwork, then you take it in for knitting. But like I said, I know and understand the process because I have done this at school. So now going into production is easier. Building community. Start small. Some of you guys are probably in varsity. Some of you guys are still in high school. That's where you start. Now I'm going to the conversation of, I'm going to talk about it from where I started and to where I am. Right. First of all, is this thing informative? Okay. So how you start is you cultivate this thing based on what you have at the moment. The biggest problem that people have is people market and push products for their desired audience, not their current audience. Realistically speaking, right now, are you a student? What do you do? You're working. But you're an artist. Are you a practicing artist? Are you creative? What would you call yourself? Oh, graphic designing, right? Okay. Who here is like a fine art student or whatever? Fine. Okay. So here's my thing, right? Have you created work in the real world right now? Outside of what you're doing right now, but have you created work in the real world right now? So that means if you draw on a piece of paper, that paper's worth 0, right? That would be the reality. That's where people miss it. You have to realistically understand where you are. If you're still a student, you are worth nothing, realistically. The only person that you matter to is your mother, if you're lucky, your father. But like, your mother, you know? So look at it from that perspective. So who your audience is the people that you are with every day. Now, they might not necessarily buy everything that you do, because also you're at a point where I understand, like I've seen it with a lot of like the younger kids, where it's like the confidence level is crazy. And it's like you have nothing to show for it, right? At some point, the skill has to match the confidence. At some point, you can't be talking crazy and you are mediocre, because the kids are mediocre. But that's another conversation for another day. So if you're starting this thing and you're in high school, that's your community. That's who knows you. Outside of your mom who's going to buy your drawing, get 5 rand, even if it's terrible. But like your current community now is these people. So for an example, let's say at school you're selling chips. You only go to school and go back home. How are you marketing to people you don't necessarily have access to, right? Yes, the reality is that you kind of are throwing things on the wall. You're shooting in the dark and hoping you hit something, right? At the beginning, because you can't have strategy. It's like, for example, I always say this to people. As a creative, it's hard when people ask you for a business plan. Someone's going to say, yo, where's your business plan? It's like, bro, like, I don't even know if this thing's working or not. So for me, how I did it was, I did this thing as I went. Because at some point I used to work in the music industry, but that's a story for another day. So if you're in high school, those are the people you're selling to. So in high school, when I was younger, the most people would carry was like 5 rand, right? So that's their salary, basically. That's their daily salary. That's how you look at it. Well, okay, people here are buying things, have 5 rand. That's what they carry every day. And that's the money you want, right? Create a product that they can afford. Either if they save 3 times a day or 2 times a day, right? 2 times a week or 3 times a week. So that's 15 rand when they save Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and your thing's worth 15 rand. They can kind of afford to do that, right? And still have the level of flexibility in how you go about like everything, right? So if you're in high school, that's where you start. Then in university, the beautiful thing about university is that there's a lot of people. And kids in university think they have style, right? And if you're catering to that, they'll literally buy anything that they think is cool as long as it's presented well. So what I used to do was, in my first year, that's when I can say the Masonwabe Ntloko brand was born. Because in my first year, what I did was, I took myself so seriously that I was like, this is what I'm going to do, this is how I'm going to do it, and this is what I'm going to put out. So I started just carrying myself as like a brand. It was like, okay, there's certain things I won't do. This I won't do, that I won't do. I have to always, because I always feel like, I always say this to people, that a lot of people just don't want it enough. Like, you don't want the success that you say you want enough, because you're not willing to go above and beyond to kind of, I used to have conversations with like the SRCs sometimes. Hey guys, I design posters. Here's what I can do. You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm starting small. The problem is that everyone wants to come out as a finished product. You start small. There's opportunities here. Like, this happened. How were you not involved? How did you know? You get what I'm saying? Like, those things look small, but you're learning how to work with people. You're learning how to talk to people. You're learning. Like, there's so much that you learn from just understanding that this is where you are, because everyone always looks outside and that what's happening in Joburg, that's what you want. But I'm telling you now, you would not survive in Joburg if you don't come in as a person who kind of already knows what they want. Because the thing about Joburg is that things are so fast that you're always playing catch up. So you just have to understand that you remove yourself from the game and start operating at your pace. Whatever. I don't believe in competition, for an example. I think competition is it's going to sound harsh, but I think it's a stupid concept from a I'm competing with you standpoint. You always need to look at your work from a global standard. If I am doing a back and forth with this artist and this artist and this artist in terms of like the work that we're putting out, is it good enough for me to say, if I'm looking at like a Picasso, if someone puts my work next to Picasso's work, is it looking like it should not be there? Or is it looking like it should be there? If then your answer is it should be there, you're good. But that's what you need to aspire to be, that you can't operate at Grahamstown level. You in Grahamstown, sure. Sorry, my bad. You can't operate at the local level as much as your only market is here. You can't operate at this level. And the beauty about that is that if you start operating at a global level, is that you start realizing that you're over prepared. When you start getting into the game, you start realizing that I'm better than everyone. Like, everyone doesn't know how to do A, B, C, D. But for you, because my idea of what the industry was that I'm going to get there, these brews are probably even painting with their feet. Like, that's how good I thought everyone was. And I'm thinking, my work ethic is going to be trash. I get there, I'm very effective when I work. And I start realizing that I'm faster than everyone. I'm more effective than everyone. I care more about what I do than everyone. And now, because I've been doing my thing independently for so long, I've learned so many other things. So, for example, in the shows that I do, my shows always look different because I'll do like a big artwork on the sides, or like there's always like, because now I understand curation because I've been doing this by myself for so long that when I start playing with other kids, I'm operating more at a business level than just I'm an everyday person level, right? So when you're in varsity, start selling t-shirts, bro. Like, you buy a t-shirt, go get it printed. That's all you can do, right? But you're building that community. It goes then to record keeping. What I did was I used to use Gmail. Gmail has something called Google Docs. So I had my Gmail Google Docs where I used to put in people's information. So for example, if you're selling a product, remember I said start small. I didn't say start big. You can sell, if you're painting, you do paintings this small. You're selling it for like, I don't know, like $100. You take that person's number, you take that person's email address, you take that person's name. Now, what I made a mistake with, which I hope you guys don't make the same mistake, was that I did not segment people based on where they stay. So now people are getting a mailer for a show in Cape Town and they are in the Eastern Cape. It's kind of rude. So now, but I'm here now, and I can't start this thing again because I can't send everyone an email. Yo, where do you stay now? Where do you stay now? Kind of, but you segment them based on where they stay. Now, here's what happens. Until you're going to grow. The person that bought that t-shirt is also going to grow. They're going to do an entry-level job. They're going to do a midway job. They're going to do senior jobs. Here's an example of what I'm telling you. When I started with designing posters. From posters, I started just drawing and doing all of these things. But when I started taking myself serious as a brand, I did wallpapers, like a wallpaper that you see on a phone. So what I'll do is I'll put it on my Google Drive and say, hey guys, it's free to download. Now I'm teaching people how to consume what I do, right? But you still have a piece of me. Pause. Pause. But you have a piece of what I do. That's why you see I caught it. You have a piece of what I do, right? Everywhere you go, right? And then after that I moved to stickers. And then after stickers I did a t-shirt. And then after a t-shirt, after the t-shirt, then I started doing product. But when I started doing product, I did rugs. I did my rug. One of my rugs is $700. So the people that were my audience at that time were my age. So this is when I'm like 23, 24. So those are people people my age at that time are starting work. But you can afford to buy a rug for 7 clipper, Then, but now it's 3, 4, 5 good ones now, like, because I'm growing with my people, right? Because I started dropping rugs, I think 2022, if I'm not wrong. It's 2025 now. So every now, but you want at price, And that's how you grow. You don't push it. You don't just go in and you're giving me a rag and you're telling me this rag is 15,000. Why? Why am I paying 15,000 rand for your rag? And I don't know you. You see? So that's how, like, I kind of started. We started very small with a wallpaper. From wallpaper, I did a t-shirt. From a t-shirt, I did, from t-shirts, the Markham collab comes in. That then, before all of that, I'd won a Yogi Sip campaign, like a Yogi Sip competition. So I designed Yogi Sip. Sounds crazy, right? I won a competition. I designed Yogi Sip, and they paid me for that. That money, I bought my bike. I've always wanted a bike. Oh, that's another thing. When you grow up, what's going to kill your money? You're going to start buying stupid things. Things that make you happy, though, but it's dumb things. But anyways. So where was I? Mailing list, data collection. It's very important. Start now. You start now. Because also, what keeps your business going, which is what I feel like most people kind of forget, there's something called customer retention. So it means you're retaining the customer. You have to have customers that return. Those are the people that you need. Like, for example, I don't do PR as much as I used to because I'm like, you know what? Let's focus on the people that are here right now. Let's focus on this audience right now. These are the people that if I sell this thing, they're going to buy it, right? I'm not saying don't add You do PR for things like that. You do TV, you do da 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 da. But like the most important thing is understanding that returning customers are the best. Like, that's why I don't understand when local brands kind of like scam people and then they keep pushing. So it's like, you don't care about that guy, but you want the new guy. You want someone new to scam. I have clients that used to. Let me wait for you guys to settle down. I have clients that started with me during wallpaper days. They bought a rug. They have either a bucket hat or shorts, or there's a t-shirt Litemba's wearing. That's my Markham collab. It's one of the things I did with Marco. Or they have the t-shirt, or they have the knits. But there's someone who has everything. They're now looking into the art side of things. So also that's another thing. As you grow as a business, you start understanding that we're in South Africa. People don't have money, guys. So because people don't have money, you have to introduce a product line that people can afford. Where it's like, I don't have to think too much in order for me to buy this thing. Rugs was that, but it's slowly going up. So now I'm bringing back like things like t-shirts. So it's like, oh, you're going to have a t-shirt, but I'm going to do it in my way, where we might have a QR code where it's like, I'll keep just dropping like things there. So every time you scan, there's something new every time. Because I'm also my career is very intertwined with the music industry because I used to work in the music industry. So right now, for example, I'm kind of working on a jazz album that I might release one day. But like, I'm doing it for my work. Don't worry. So like, those are the things where it's like, it's not just a visual language. I'm just creating a language for the brand across the board. It's like, okay, because when I do a reel and I want to put it out, I always have to use someone else's song. But like, there's a few people that can I always say this to people when I explain my work, that my work is a visual representation of South African jazz. That's the easiest way to explain it to someone. That when you hear South African jazz, what you see is what I do, basically. But anyways, creating broadcasts is, social media has these cool new things. Chin Musala. Instagram has these new things that they do, like social media in general. You can do it on WhatsApp, you can do it on Instagram. So if you don't have a mailing list, you have people's numbers, but I would advise that you get emails because numbers are very invasive. Like I don't want to send you things, random things, and you feel like, it's your WhatsApp. Like that's your thing. So, but that's an alternative route. People are doing broadcasts on Instagram. People are doing broadcasts on WhatsApp. It's like a channel thing that you can open on WhatsApp where it's like you can put people in and you're the only person who can kind of like announce things. Those are important things to have because record keeping is the most important thing. Like for an example, when I do a show in Joburg, I'm averaging at least 700 people. And a good 700 of those people didn't see my Instagram post, but they saw it on their email. My mailing list right now has 1.5 people. Those are people who put in their email addresses. I didn't. All I promised them was, I'm not going to send you random things. I'm not going to, because that's another problem that people have with like subscribing to like your mailing list, that you're going to now update them. Hey guys, I just painted this artwork. Hey guys, that's not what people want. When is the show coming out? When are the rugs coming out? When are the t-shirts coming out? That's all you need to tell them. And then at the end of the year, you can give them a thank you note. But, thank you very much for being, And the painful thing about MailChimp is that you see them unsubscribe. You see, like so far I've had like 3 people unsubscribe. It's like, I want to call them and ask, what happened? Like, am I not banging for you anymore? Like, what's happening? Pause. But, like, that's basically what record keeping is. And that's how you build a community. I think the biggest problem that people have is that, like I said, you're trying to get new clients and you're not appreciating the people that you have. I say this to people all the time that for me, a new client, I won't say it doesn't matter, but I take seriously the returning one. See, that person, if they say, I want to come to your studio and we have chats where you paint, I'll give it to you. Some bro who just followed me today and goes, man, let me come to your studio quickly. But anyways, another thing that you do is activations. pop-ups, exhibitions, and other things that you can kind of like do. Here's an example. This, what Uli Temba's doing now. This is cultivating a community. Not all the time when you cultivate a community, you have to give them something to buy. Sometimes zanobona nje bras, no price point ayo ye no zanobona. Now, how I would have done it was, I would have had prints from like Postnet that I can sell for like $100, right? Because let's say that's probably like 10,000. Realistically, as a student, you can't afford that thing. Nah? Even if you do a payment plan, you are paying this thing next day. Because you are getting this thing next year. So because that's the reality, why not create something smaller that the people who, because this is his audience, you know, like I don't matter in this situation, but this is his audience. So he has to cultivate this audience and grow with this audience. That's how you build a community. And I'm going to tell you now, because I had this conversation with someone yesterday, I just don't remember who, and they're like, no, it does money play a factor. I said, guys, you've seen a lot of businesses that open, there's a Jay-Z line, grand opening, grand closing. I think it's on, I forgot the song now. But what happens is that you get a lot of people who have the money, like the rich kids, and they go open like a store somewhere. Nothing. It's just there. It's just time for them to stay to not stay at home because no one's buying this thing because there was no community there. So that's why you don't even have to rush things. You don't have to rush to have a store. You don't have to rush. Like you start small, then now when you open a store, it becomes a moment because the people that have been supporting you for this long are actually proud that you opened a store. You see, then now those are the people that come in. Those are the people that come in. But now those people, you want those people to live with something, right? So that's why my closet has socks. You get me? Like you can afford socks, $250. You can buy socks for $250. You see, and other things. But even the new market, you still need to cultivate the kids. So he's gonna grow with you guys, for an example, right? There's kids coming after you. Those kids also like what he does. Are you trying to tell me that the only thing they're going to do, they're just gonna see what's happening and then call it a day? They also have to go home with something. So that's how you kind of like, you know, build this thing. He has diaries there, guys. Get Litemba's diaries. Anyways, they became your fans because you were following your instincts, right? That's why they became your fans. They didn't become your fans because they told you what to do and you did it. So you should understand that they trust your opinion of what's good and when it's good, right? Then if they don't, you will hear cries here and there. Here's an example. I'm a big Jay-Z fan, right? Reasonable Doubt, beautiful album. Volume 1, people say it's not a good album, right? But people still followed him until he gave you another classic album, which then would be Blueprint. Then he gave you the Black Album. Kingdom Come, terrible album. So you're going to hit and miss. American Gangster, classic. Blueprint, questionable. You see? Magna Carta, yo, wild boy. Classic Magna Carta, yo, wild boy. Then 444, classic album. You see? So you are going to hit, you are going to miss. That's the reality of life. You never fully hit throughout. Sometimes you might do 4 projects where it's just misses. I'm lucky enough that I haven't missed yet, but I might miss. And I have to be okay with the reality that I might miss. You get me? But where I'm going with all of this is that you can't sit there and think that the audience knows what they want. They don't. But I'm not saying now your audience is stupid because people confuse those two things. It's just a thing of trust yourself enough to know that you can give your audience what they want when they want it, right? Now, I'm also a believer in, I hate the concept strike while the iron is hot, right? That only applies to me when you're in the music industry, where things have to. But everywhere else, I'm a firm believer that the iron is always hot. Strike at the right time so that you build this thing properly. Because when now you are prematurely doing something because there's this one-hit wonders come out that way. That's how you get a one-hit wonder. Because it's like outside of people who are doing a song organically, but most of the time it's like, oh, this is what was hot.
Thank you so much for listening to our new episode with Masonwabe Ntloko, with him giving his presentation and talk at the Heritage Exhibition in 2025. And we look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode next week. Stay tuned. Thank you.
If you come from a people who have been so hated,
love can become subversive and transformative, beginning by loving yourself.
Hold your history books to the light, check the facts. How we invented language to teach wisdom and medicine to heal ourselves.
We were, we are, and we will be.
We redefine fashion, this heritage, this heartbeat. This is who I am.